Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out my channel, and today we're going to work on a pressure washer. This may not look exactly like yours. This is an older model pressure washer, but I'll tell you that if you can find one of these pressure washers, they're good. They're very good. This is a Ryobi, and it's model number 80030, and it is from 2005, and I bought this back right around 2007. This is a really good unit, and the abuse that I've put this thing through is just incredible. You can kind of tell. I mean, I never wash it, I never clean it up. All I do is just drain the water out of it for the winter, blow air through it, and then at that point I store it and then get it out and do it all over again. So the last 3 years that it was leaking, I hadn't been really using it as much as I normally did, so I just kept on going. I figured when it fails, it fails. Well, finally all the oil came out of it, and it failed last summer, closer to fall. Yeah, it was fall. So not a big deal. I decided, you know, I was going to keep this because the engine runs so well, and I would just change out the pump. Now, the pump is something that you can find, and the prices are all over the board. What I did was find the best pump that I could for the money, and I'm going to show you how to put that on. Now, the link for this pump is going to be in the description down below, and this pump is going to be for a wide range of pressure washers that have this same type of bolt pattern and the same shaft. It's just a 3/4 inch shaft. Again, the link down below, what I suggest you do is click the link, get in there, and contact the shop. They respond really fast. What you could do is send them a message that tells them what your pressure washer model is and maybe what your pump model is, but mainly the pressure washer, and as far as the PSI and the gallons per minute, and they'll tell you if it's going to work or not. I got my answer within, I think it was 29 hours total, so great. I mean, just great response there. So here's the pump, and you can see, pretty straightforward, just 4 bolts and the shaft. So we're just going to put this on, show you what it's going to take to do so, and let you follow along. So I have you sort of at a strange angle, but I hope that you can see all this. This is the cover. Again, yours may not have this cover. Yours may look completely different than this one, but I wanted to show you what it's going to take to get this one off. So we'll go ahead and move that, and see if this cover is just latched over here. I believe, there we go. And that's it. Now you can see this pump is definitely different as far as the way that it looks than mine overall, but it's going to essentially do the same thing. I mean, here's your unloader valve, and here's the detergent valve. Now my detergent valve hasn't worked in a long time. Here's the fitting that I'm going to have to put this on, this piece here, so it all works as far as the connector, and then of course the hose piece. The reason that I like this one better is it's a better pump. This is a much better pump, but you're talking about $110 for this pump versus about $200 to $250, $60 for this pump. So old pump off, new pump on. We'll go ahead and remove these bolts. We're looking at about a 9/16, or they could be metric. You got to remember, this is a Subaru engine, so the chances of all this stuff being metric is pretty great. So we might be looking at a 12 millimeter here, because it's definitely bigger than 10. Okay, so it's a 12 millimeter, so we'll go ahead and loosen it up. No big deal here. We'll just take off all 4 bolts, and it's pretty straightforward. Now that I get all 4 of those bolts out, this could be what I consider the fun part. If you look at this bolt, you can see there's some white chalky here going on, and basically what that is caustic metal or caustic action, and all that means is metal that's of dissimilar material react to each other. That's how batteries work. This is what's going on here with this bolt, is it's a little bit caustic. And why should that be a concern? Well, that same stuff happens on the shaft sometimes, to where this thing likes to hang on to the engine. So even though the bolts are supposed to hold it on the engine, sometimes there's a clearance problem for this to come off the shaft. So I'm going to get a little pry bar, and we're going to see if that's the case with this one, or if I got lucky. Yeah, looks like I'm going to get lucky, because it's moving. It's taking a little bit of an effort, but not hardly anything at all. So that's all good news. So whenever you're taking this off, to make sure that you don't have an issue, just make sure it comes straight off. Any kind of bind that you get it in is going to make it not want to come off. So you don't want to pry too far on one side or too hard on one side, and not, you know, supplement that pressure by supporting the opposite side. And there you go. Now you can see the shaft on that is a little bit disgruntled. It's just a little bit corroded up, and it's not bad though. So I'll take some emery cloth, I'll clean this up, make it shiny, pull the keyway out possibly, and then go ahead and start the assembly of the new one. Now I want to check the overall length, and the only reason I want to do that is to make sure that it will slide on, and it looks like that it will. Let me see here. Yeah, it'll definitely slide on. So we'll go ahead and clean this up, and I'll come back and show you it going back on. You can see I cleaned all that up, and looks pretty good. Doesn't look bad at all. So I'm going to treat this with some sort of a lubricant, so the next person that has this and may need to do this kind of work way on down the road, or if it's even myself, that it doesn't stick for them. You know, it stays where it slides off relatively easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some anti-seize on here, maybe a little bit too much. Not a big deal. It's not like it's going to hurt it if there is too much on here, because it's just going to come out of the shaft opening. You can just use grease. You don't have to use anti-seize. Just use a liberal coating of grease. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is locate the, see this slot here? It's not a straight shaft only. There is a slot. So what we need to do is line that square up with the square key. A little bit further. And right about there. It looks pretty close. And then we'll slide this on and make sure that it lines up. So let's go ahead and get the shaft kind of close. And it is tapered, so it helps out that way. Feels like it's wanting to go in there. And that's it. It is on. So now all I got to do is tighten these bolts, or reinstall these bolts, tighten it down, and don't over torque these. This is just aluminum that you're going into, and more than holding the pump on, it's keeping it from spinning. And 4 bolts that are tightened to maybe 12 to 15 torque pounds at the most. That should hold it. That should do pretty good. And then just recheck it for tightness at a later time. Now, if you feel more comfortable by putting a little bit of Loctite on the threads here, you can do that as long as it's a serviceable Loctite. That way you know they won't rattle out from the vibration of the pump whenever it's running. I do foresee a problem possibly with this connection here, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Let me go ahead and tighten this up, and we'll come back to that. Alright guys, as I mentioned before, this is a universal pump. So the fitting that was on there was set up for just the standard hose connection, and I'm not talking about a garden hose connection, and I'm not talking about a quick release connection. It was set up for a standard water pressure hose. Most water pressure hoses are a little bit different than a garden hose, so that you don't try to use a garden hose for the outlet of the pressure washer. You can use it as the inlet, obviously. That's the way it's set up. But as far as the outlet part of it, with all the pressure, they want to make sure you have the correct hose on there and the correct fitting. Or you're going to have to find something that's going to work. And that's what I had to do in this case. I took the fitting that came with the pump, and I went ahead and got a 3/8 inch pipe tap and tapped inside here. I had to drill out a little bit because there's a lot of meat in here. I mean, I had enough that I could have cut these threads completely off and still drilled out all this area. There, again, there's a lot of area in there to deal with. So I wasn't worried about it cracking. And then I put a 3/8 by 1.5 inch pipe nipple, male on it, because my quick release, that's what connects to it. Now, if you want to just buy an adapter, if you've got someplace around you, I mean, right now it's Saturday, I have a little local True Value store down the street, but they didn't have anything that would adapt to these straight fittings. over to a 3/8 pipe fitting. It just wasn't going to work. So this is what we came up with instead. And yours is going to be different. Again, this is a universal pump, but that's all that's really needed to make this work. So let me go ahead and connect this now. And I don't need any kind of pipe threading on these on this fitting that I'm getting ready to put in here, because there is an O-ring that actually holds it on in place. All right, so I got these started. Let me go ahead and tighten it down. And it's a good, real good tight fit as far as these threads. We're getting close. It's getting where the O-ring is getting ready to seat up against it now. That's good. All right, so it's secure. So let me go out and hook up everything and see if this thing works. All right, guys, so we got this thing running. There's just a couple pulls like normal, and it's doing good. Let's go ahead and show you. You're not going to be able to hear me, so. Alright, so there you go. It's running, and it's doing exactly what it's supposed to. So, good, cheap alternative to putting on that expensive pump that it's supposed to have on there. So again, the link's going to be down below. Click the link, it'll take you to that pump, and then, like I said, contact the seller and make sure that your model number is going to work with this pump, which I'm sure it will. If not, they may direct you to another pump. Two things, though, I want to leave you with. On pressure washers, I don't know if you noticed, but when I shut it off, I made sure that the gun was spraying when I flipped the engine off. It's a good idea to start it that way and shut it off that way. It makes it easier on the pump whenever the RPMs get a little bit low on the engine, during startup. It's not like the engine starts up and it is immediately at full RPMs, and the same when it's shutting off. Just a tip, and that may keep your pump and engine running a little bit longer. So that's it. Glad you watched this video, and if you like this, give me a thumbs up. But more importantly, like I said, if you're looking for a pump for your pressure washer, click the link down below and do some shopping. Thanks, guys. Bye.